What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to What's Popping. We are joined once again from our friends over at Graded for something a little bit different this time. Stephen, how's it going?
Very good.
We've been doing a bit of a series. We've been chatting about grading. We've been chatting about grading Pokemon cards in particular. So today we're going to do a little bit of a departure from that and chat about a few different things you can grade other than PSA 10 Charizards. I'm never going to get over this. This is always going to be my favorite. The first self-graded slab.
Crack your virginity.
Yeah.
Grading.
Popped my grading cherry. So we're going to chat a little bit about, what else you can grade, what Graded's sort of doing outside of the Pokemon world, where we can find you. I believe you guys are going to be at Comic-Con, so we'll chat a little bit about Comic-Con Cape Town coming up soon. So excited to see you guys at a live event, and we'll do some coverage with you there as well. What sort of got you moving from trading cards into sort of broader spectrum of stuff that you can get graded?
Yeah, it all starts from demand. Yeah. We are agents for the public.
Yeah.
We've obviously got a lot of our own collections, myself and Jared. Jared's in Cape Town, I'm in Joburg. We met through collecting, and Jared's got a vast collection of all sorts of different things. I think he's known for his collection of Tazos. He's probably got like 90% of all the Tazos
Can you grade
ever produced. Not yet.
Not yet, okay, because I've also got a ton of Tazos.
Coins,
you grade coins.
So it's not far off.
Okay.
They've got the case for it. We just need to get them to... with a lot of these collectibles, as I'll tell you soon, is that... We have communication channels with these grading companies, so we can chat to them about new TCGs coming out that they aren't grading yet, or old sports cards that they didn't know existed.
And sort of show where the market demand is going, and say we've got these queries from our clients.
If they get enough demand, they will grade something. And the same with Graded. If we aren't grading something yet, it doesn't mean that we're not going to. We just need the demand to do it. Our whole service is based around sending bulk. So that we all share the shipping costs, and therefore lowering the cost overall.
Knowing that there's going to be a window for this awesome showcase you've got in front of me, some of the stuff we're going to talk about, but a window of opportunity for collectors to go ahead and get some more obscure things graded, aside from just your usual stuff, is very, very exciting. For me, like comic books is a thing I'd love to talk about getting firstly, because I've got some awesome stuff in front of us here, and then we'll dive into chatting about Comic-Con. But comic books. So I see you've got, what is a Strange Academy #1 sitting in front of us here.
It's just a new take on something old, right?
Yeah, I mean, so literally, this is a case of taking something that is probably, I think, the two oldest things that have been graded. I want to say comic books and trading cards. Are those sort of the two more traditional things?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's deep culture in collecting.
Yeah.
Comic books there's some extremely old ones and some extremely valuable ones. I'm not sure which one came first. Cigarette box cards.
How do you make a decision when you're going to grade something like a comic book? Because I'm a Star Wars collector, so I'm very clear on what I would want graded and how I'd want to go about it. But when you yourself are choosing, and when people are approaching you, what do they say? What are the most common comic book kind of submissions that you guys deal with?
For me, it's a lot of the people submitting for comic books is people who want to display them.
Yeah.
It's very hard to display a comic book that's outside of a case like this. You can buy top loaders, which keep it nice and rigid, but it doesn't look good. And I wouldn't want to put it up on the wall either. It can slip out of there. This encapsulates it. It keeps it away from moisture and UV. So it makes it a lot easier to display it. And it looks so good. People would grade this because they see this franchise is growing in popularity in the future. So right now it's not valued very highly, but this is almost a gamble on the future and saying, well, I think that this is going to take off.
This is going to be the next big thing.
And there's a limited quantity of these, and this will be valuable one day. So that's why this person has decided to grade this.
No, and it's awesome. We see, I think you actually in the comic book market see a lot more speculation than even in the Pokemon market or the TCG markets, because people are always, in the TCGs, we're very limited to where we can look into the future. We know maybe for Pokemon, what we're going to be looking at 2 or 3 sets in advance, and you can start, some people are already speculating on Mega Pokemon because of the new fad. But with comic books, I think, especially since the rise of Marvel and Marvel TV series and everything, people are speculating on everything. It's like, this obscure character, first appearance in this comic book, this is one to grade.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with speculating and keeping them in a box at home and waiting for that day where you see a rise in value and then send it off for grading. Because now you know, okay, I've made a good decision here. Make another good decision and get that graded before it becomes a 9.4 or an 8 while it's sitting there and you decide to show a friend and have an accident.
So speaking about those grades, you're speaking now about 9.4s, 9.8s. I think people who maybe have only graded cards used to seeing 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain and break down those grades a little bit for people who are grading for the first time or thinking about grading a comic book. What should they be looking for when they're going to go ahead and grade something like that? And what sort of range are you looking at? I mean, if you have a ding on the corner of your comic, what's it going to knock it down from? What is the ideal you're aiming for?
Yeah.
And how do you sort of get to that 9.8, which is kind of the standard I know most people want in the comics?
Yeah, obviously you're looking for any sort of creases. If somebody's read through the comic book and they've folded pages because they want to see where they need to, that's going to mark it down quite a lot. The spine as well.
Spine ticks.
All the way down the spine.
Spine ticks.
Yeah. So I don't think anyone's read this.
Yeah.
So it got a very high grade. 9.6 is quite high. But with modern, you're trying to aim for that 9.8.
Yeah.
So this was less desirable to get. Most of what we sent through that was modern got 9.8s.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I was quite surprised because we haven't graded a lot of comics, and this was one of the first runs that we did.
Yes.
And I think all of them, besides this one, got a 9.8. Older comics are, if you have a mint one that's old, graded immediately. Most of what you'll find from the old stuff that isn't graded already is a lot more faded. They're looking for yellowing of the pages. So this is quite white. In 20 years, if this wasn't in this case, it's going to go an
off white to yellow. And then you start seeing the grade change from white pages down.
And then you might get like a 4 or 5 on those, which is still quite good for an old.
If you've got a Superman number 1,
then
Action Comics number 1, you're doing pretty well.
But even then, even getting a 2 or 1 on those old ones is better than having it non-graded.
Are you doing comic book submissions quite regularly now, or is it
every CGC
submission goes
every
to the
3
comic?
months?
Okay.
The next one will be in April, May, June. So we've become a dealer, but for CGC. But we have to wait a year before we can witness the signatures, and then it gets the yellow label.
The yellow label. So
we
currently
won't be doing it at Comic-Con this year, but next year for sure.
Okay, so comic books is one thing. So that's sort of where my knowledge goes. It goes from comic books, trading cards. The rest, you've got some very different things that I didn't think you could grade sitting in front of us. So maybe you can run us through a couple of those. I'm seeing some really cool stuff.
Something in the realms of your knowledge.
Yeah, something that I recognize that. I recognize that.
This it
looks like a placemat.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah, you can eat food in it at night. This one got a very poor grade. I think I might crack it open and send it back though, because it looks really great. Just unfortunate grade on this one. Some of these are growing in value. A lot of jumbo cards haven't quite reached the heights that I think they deserve, and a lot of the time that's shared with quite a few people. And this is a lot more collectible in a slab, I feel, than putting it in a binder, because binders for jumbo cards are quite rare.
I was about to say, to display jumbo cards is an absolute nightmare. I mean, I've got a couple of sort of folders that I put them in, but nothing really compares to a proper slab that you can have and hold in your hand and display nicely on a wall.
And because it's so large, it makes it quite visually appealing on the wall.
No, it's almost like a poster. I mean, really, if you look at that, it's really sort of, you can see it's hefty in the hand. It's well sort of taken care of. As a slab, it's just a beautiful piece of artwork, and you actually appreciate the artwork a little bit more sometimes with the jumbo cards than with the small.
You start seeing a lot more to the artwork, like that Gyarados. You don't really notice on the
first look,
normal card. But here is so much larger. This
over here, which is very, very cool. I did not know you could get these graded, and I'm so excited to see it.
And how clunky as well, like very solid. It's in there, and it's held quite nicely. And
Pokemon the first. I like to call this Pokemon the first movie. I don't know why they call they've missed a real opportunity to call it the first movie.
Maybe puns weren't cool back then.
I don't know if they're cool now either.
Mewtwo versus Mew, and it came with a card.
Did you grade the card?
This one, no. This is actually not even sealed. So I brought this along because a lot of people think, well, I opened this, I watched this, I can't grade this. You can. It says complete at the top. So it's got all the components to it.
Is that including the card?
No. So it's just got the VHS tape inside, so it'll get complete. And then they'll give you a grade for the case itself and the media
and the media inside. Okay, so if you had a DVD, they'd look for scratches and that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, I should mention, obviously, these three items here, they are quite heavy.
Yes.
And that does affect the shipping and that affects the price.
Okay.
So that's why I think normally, especially with the jumbo cards, a lot of them are low value. Even graded, they're low value, even if you get the 10. So when looking at the economics of whether it's worth grading or not, that does come into effect. Yeah. Same with the Funko Pops. We're not getting a lot of people submitting a base level Funko Pop that's worth 300 Rand because the grading fee for a Funko is around 1,500 Rand. So what we're seeing is a lot of people are sending in signed Funkos or the more rare Chase exclusive GameStop variants or Comic-Con variants. Yeah. Those tend to now fall into the realm of possible value gain through the grading process.
Because to me, I actually never even think about those from a value perspective. I think, my mind is so set on comics and trading cards from a value perspective. This to me is just like pure nostalgia. It's like I just want to display this and have a look at it. But again, you can't understate with this process and with the whole idea of grading is that there is that value proposition baked into it.
Graded this one because this was mine and I watched it back in the kid and to get an 8.5 I was quite shocked. But if I wanted to get value gain out of this, I would go and find a sealed one on eBay and buy that and make sure it's in good nick and then hopefully get a 9.2 or 6 or something.
So are these graded on the same scale as the comic books? Okay, cool. And do you get a lot of requests? Do you get a lot of Australian? What's the weirdest thing someone's asked you to grade?
A cricket bat by Hansi Cronje. I wanted to auction it off and they wanted to make sure that verify that it was legitimate. I had to say, look, I can't.
I don't think so.
I'm not an authority on it. I can give you some advice on where to go, but we get a lot of stuff like that, which is totally outside of what we exactly do. But we'll always try and help. Something recently graded by PSA. They didn't grade these a year ago. They only recently started saying, okay, these we will also do. And I think it was because of the metal Pokemon cards that came out. Yeah. And they were like, well, this is not much different. Yeah. A brand new case, right? Yeah. Compared to a Pokemon
completely.
Card. This is
brand new.
This is not,
Burger King.
Not new to PSA. They do a lot of sports cards. And some of the sports cards are what they call swatches. So they might have like a bit of a jersey inside the card or fighting gloves, shorts, laces even. Wow. And those cards.
So they basically repurposed that slab for this. Yeah. Somebody just want to have something because it's a piece of collecting history. And so many of these are. And now that you can actually encapsulate that and keep it,
I also like not having dust on my stuff.
Yeah. And being able to dust it. You could dust this very easily.
Maybe put it through the washing machine.
Give it a go.
This is a sports card.
I'm about to say, hello Vietnam, wat ons weet nie is coming up next.
This is our boy, Jerkus. We sent a lot of cards to Jerkus for signing. Yeah. We'll always try and promote that as much as we can from Graded. Just trying to get in touch with actors, voice actors, sports stars. We'll try and do that free of charge as much as we can. This was completely free of charge because he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a lucky guy. It's an opportunity with Comic-Con coming up because we, of course, have the celebs coming to us. Yeah. So, it's a great opportunity with you guys being there, the celebs being there. It's a really sort of golden opportunity to not only get your stuff signed, but then get it properly taken care of into the future.
And having that time before, knowing that they'll be there, and then sourcing those cards, because you might not have a lot of his cards or her cards. Or Funko Pops or all sorts of things.
Now, there's always that mad rush before Comic-Con when all the celebs have been announced, and I'm still very salty because I've got an Anthony Mackie statue that I wanted to sign. He never came twice. Yeah. We don't talk about it in the Comic-Con world, but
you're going to have to
travel to him.
Yeah. We are trying to find those more popular characters within the sporting world and just informing PSA.
I mean, that's where it starts. I've got a Virat Kohli Funko Pop that I got signed, so that would be a great.
Exactly, they know about Virat.
Yeah,
so you can do that. Sachin Tendulkar, Shane Warne, all the big players. Yeah. I brought along a CGC authentic autograph,
pristine 10
JSA as well, because I think it looks better than the PSA one. PSA have been doing this for a lot longer, but CGC's brought out this new label and it just looks incredible.
I think there's been a lot of criticism around CGC with them getting rid of the subgrade option and that kind of thing, but they have changed their labels up, and I think their pristine 10 label is...
That's next level.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely insane.
The BGS
might even beat the BGS.
Yeah, and I brought along some other PSA, CGC's just from other hobbies. You get One Piece and Dragon Ball is very popular with some of our submitters. There's a few TCGs out there that previously were thought of as like almost fan-made.
Yes.
Which is the Naruto has Caillou cards. They look incredible. But the value was always so low because you couldn't grade them because they weren't seen as an official licensed product. But now some of the grading companies are looking at them a bit more in detail and they're tracking, okay, these are regulated and we can grade them. Don't look at a franchise of collectibles and think, well, these aren't gradable now. I'm not going to collect them.
Well, I'm not going to take care of them.
I'm not going to take care of them. Yeah, take care of everything.
Yeah.
Sleeve everything, put them away, and one day they might become very valuable.
And I see a Funko Pop over there.
Yeah.
I did not know that we could grade these. I love Funko Pops. You guys know I started my channel on Funko Pops.
Yeah.
See, this is the first time I've actually been up and close and personal with a graded Funko Pop. What are they looking at when they grade Funko Pops? Because there's a lot you can grade. I mean, there's like when I buy a Funko Pop, right? I'm a dude at the Funko stand who will pick up this pop and be like, okay, cool. Paint job on the hair. Okay, paint job on the eyeballs. Paint job on the... Oh, no, there's a spot on the nose. Next one.
Yeah.
And I'll take 5 or 6. And then once I finish the paint job on the figure, I'll go, okay, cool, box condition. And it's a good 20-minute process.
You might be hired by PSA.
Yeah. So are they looking at those same factors?
No, they're looking at the box.
They're looking at the box. They're not worried about the figure.
Not worried about the figure. It's crazy, yeah.
It's crazy because I spend ages looking for the perfect paint job on the figure inside.
I suppose they see themselves as they can only grade the most exterior part of it. It's like sending in a sleeved promo card. They won't grade the card inside. Yeah. They'll grade the seal. Yeah. Same with the booster pack. They're not going to grade the cards inside.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
So this is essentially the seal of the product inside. And what they are grading is the seal. And they're looking at it for the edges. You see the edges.
Do they grade the stickers? Do they look at the centering of the Comic-Con Africa sticker? And
I don't think so. I think maybe if it's been peeled off and stuck back on, they might grade something there, but mostly that's not the case.
When you do, I know you guys are doing, on a rotation with your submissions. Every time you submit to CGC, is there a possibility to submit stuff that goes to CGC, regardless of whether it's a comic book, a trading card, whatever it might be?
Yeah. CGC, we normally have about 8 different submissions at the moment because they accept quite a large array of different things. I think cards is one of the latest things that they added to what they grade.
Funny enough,
they seem to be well known for it now. And then
the same with PSA.
PSA, obviously the different signings and stuff, we will open up an autograph submission for them. Normally following a Comic-Con, so 2 out of our 4 per year will be autograph authentication. And to keep up to date with this, on our socials, we'll try and keep you informed. So just like and follow us.
Just like and follow. Like, comment, and subscribe. You know where to find you. So let's talk Comic-Con, because obviously all this is the cool stuff that you can find and that you can interact with and that you can bring to the booth at Comic-Con. What are your plans for Comic-Con? What's the presents you guys want to have? What's the deal? I mean, it's your first time at Comic-Con Cape Town. Tell me about your plans. What's going to happen?
So both myself and Jared, we've been to many Comic-Cons as graded, but not officially. We've walked the
undercover
halls.
Graded.
We've met with people. We've run little side events. Find us. You'll get some free cards and stuff. We'll still do a lot of that. We'll just have a central point now. We've got a stand there. We'll have a shop where you can buy graded collectibles. We'll have some sealed stock as well that you can buy. But we'll also do some live events, just like we do on our Facebook, where we do our wheel spins, we do our live rip and chips with bounties. We'll do that live in person.
That'll be very, very
so much fun. We're going to I think we'll definitely have some Evolving Skies. We'll have some,
Evolving Skies, Traumatic Delusions.
We'll bring some tissues along. But we've got some older Sun and Moon sets as well that we're going to open. Some Charizard Chasers in there. Some big boys. We were hoping on getting some vintage, and maybe that'll still be the case.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Very hard to find some legitimate good vintage out there. But hopefully, and then in the near future, maybe even up on the main stage. Who knows?
That would be very, very cool.
But we're definitely going to be there just to meet up with, bring your collectibles along, ask us questions. If you want us to go over your cards in person with you, we're there.
That's awesome. Will we be able to submit at Comic-Con?
You will be able to. We've got our safety box there to accept some collectibles, lock them away. Yeah.
And is that going to be open for all submissions or just what's going that month?
All submissions. We're always open for all submissions. Okay. I've got a stack of stuff that's for the next CGC run from people who missed the last one.
Okay.
So we don't mind keeping stuff. Yeah. It's only 3 months till the next one. It's always only 3 months till the next one.
And once you've gone through that first 3 month waiting period, if you continue submitting, you're always getting something back, which is pretty exciting.
That's my philosophy. Yeah. I try and share that for everyone. Obviously, it helps us if we have a more consistent submission base. Yeah. We work on quantities. If we've got enough quantities, we can eventually bring the price down.
Yeah.
That goes with PSA. The dealer discounts we get is all based on how much we submit. And since we're the only ones submitting at this point, it's like the whole nation.
Yeah.
If we can all submit enough, we can reach those different tiers with PSA and bring the discounts higher and bring the prices down.
That's very exciting.
It is exciting. Those thresholds are quite large, though. So we really need to pump
things are happening. I mean, a few years ago, we couldn't really grade easily. You guys have made the grading process easy. We're now going to see you at a physical presence at Comic-Con. Yeah. We've had so much fun doing the series. We're going to keep the series running. So... Stephen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the chat.
So much fun,
awesome seeing you.
Always good.
Thank you so much. Best of luck at Comic-Con. We will see you there. We'll maybe go live with what's popping, and we'll come through and see you at the booth.
There we go. Do some live openings.
Yeah, do some live openings. And guys, make sure you're following Grade It on all of their socials. You will find all information about upcoming submissions, what you can submit, where you can submit. You can get in touch if you're having issues thinking about what to submit. You went through the process with us over a couple of these videos. We're going to keep the videos coming, keep the content coming your way. And if you are at Comic-Con Cape Town, make sure you swing by the Graded booth. Say hello. If you see me at Comic-Con, I'll be there as well. Say how's it to me. And we will see all of you guys in the next video.